Audio.
It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. My lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold.
Hello? Oh, hey! Good morning, everybody. Today is September 15th. I want to welcome you to episode 42 of Coffee and Cloud Native. If I was a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan, I would make some joke about today you will learn the answer to the question of life, the universe, and everything, but you won't. Or maybe you will. I don't know. Hi. So, first off, I want to welcome YouTube to the channel today, where they may or may not function appropriately. I had this problem with my wife's stream last week where YouTube was reporting that it wasn't getting enough data, and it actually popped up an error message where it said the 5,000 kilobits per second that you're sending us is less than the recommended 4,000 kilobits that we want. I don't even know how to fix that. Like, I'm sending you 5, you're telling me 5 is less than 4. Okay. So we started getting that same error message this morning, and I've switched over to a direct feed on something else, blah, blah, blah. You don't actually care. Just know that there's like a 40% chance that I'm going to go get. And it's not my fault. Yeah, so, hi. Where are we? We are in episode 42 of Coffee and Cloud Native. My name is Adrian Goins. And every night, I and my army of bots scour the internet for news and content related to Kubernetes and Cloud Native. And every day, I come here to share that information with you. It's a curated list of content. I go through around 200 submissions every night. After dinner, sometimes I just wish I could go to bed. But I select about 10 of them for the next day's show. You can sometimes tell, like, the mood I was in the night before by what I select. There's stuff that's good. Today, if we get to it by the end of the show, I've got a little bit of a rant about a company that you all know I love. I'll let you guess who. I can tell you it doesn't start with R. It might start with a letter closer to the end of the alphabet. Who knows? Anyway, if you're watching now or in the future, click the thumbs up button on the video so the YouTube algorithm shares it with other people. I live my day with the analytics up on the monitor over here, and I love seeing my subscriber count click up. I love seeing people comment on the videos. I love seeing people ask me questions, or just see people watch it as the various time zones come online. We are about to cross 2,000 subscribers. That's crazy. I started my channel a little more than a year ago. I never even thought I would get to 2,000 subscribers. I never thought that there would be 2,000 people on the planet who care what I think about the world. But you guys have shown me that you do. I really, really appreciate you coming and spending time with me every day and watching all the other nonsense that I create on YouTube. If you're not in the chat, you're missing out. The chat's over here, and I'm going to go see who's in it so I can say hi to people. We have the lovely WifeBot is joining us today. Good morning, Trix. We missed you yesterday. Oh, WifeBot already said that. Okay, well, I missed you too. Good morning, Ian. Wojtek and Ariel, good morning. Frank is here. Marcel is here. Peter is here. Wow, Mose is here. Hey, Mose. Hey, Mose, I saw your comment yesterday. It's good to know that you use, I don't even remember what I showed yesterday. Kubeval. Mose posted a comment saying he's used Kubeval for a long time and that it works really well. If you could share in the chat, Mose, how you're using it and what types of validation it does for you, that would be helpful for those who watched yesterday, because I was trying to break it, and I couldn't break it. I was just like, warning, or whatever. So let us know how you're using it and the best way that people can get started with it, please. Ian says the answer, what is 6 times 7? There's actually a game that my friend used to play where you can get to every single number between 1 and 42 with some combination of the prime numbers 2, 3, and 7. So, 1, 3 minus 2. 2, well, that's just 2. 3 is 3, 4, 2 times 2, 5, 3 plus 2. And you can get to everything except, I think it was 19. Somewhere it was either 17 or 19. 19 is 5 times 3 plus 2, or 17 is 5 times 3 plus 2. So I think it's 19 is the only one that you can't get to using just 2, 3, and 7, which makes 19 the anti-42. Hi to my friend Corey out in Washington State who taught me that, and that's just one of those worms that gets in your head. Mauricio is here. Hello. And Mo's missed the introduction of WifeBot yesterday. Yes, I've turned my wife into a bot. No, it's me and my army of bots. My wife helps out too. She frequently thinks that I'm just a synthetic creature, so I turned her into a bot for the channel. For you. Anybody ever seen Stepford Wives? It's not like that. Hey, Tim, good morning. Thank you for joining us. And Sumit. All right. Let's get started. Ooh, I have some stuff that's a holdover from yesterday, and as you well know, I am terrible about doing things and getting the show ending on time. So this is from Kubernetes. Hi, Kubernetes. They subscribe to the channel. I get a lot of interaction with them, and thank you very much for putting this together. This walks through setting up log collection with Fluentd and shipping it to, shipping it to, it's funny, the Elastic Cloud Kubernetes with Fluentd. I'm looking at my notes. My notes make no sense. My notes actually say something that makes it look like somebody else edited my notes, which is pretty funny, because that's really confusing. You're familiar with the ELK stack. You're probably familiar with the EFK stack. Well, now there's the ECK plus F stack or something like that. ECK is an operator-based deployment of Elasticsearch plus Kibana for Kubernetes. So this walks through shipping logs to Elasticsearch for visualization with Kibana. And even though it actually says Fluentd, it looks like they deploy FluentBit. There's some discussion in the community about which is better, which one you want to use. Personally, I don't care, and I don't think it matters. But you can follow along with all of this and get all of your logs up and running for everything, including container logging, node logging, cluster logging, and yeah, and it's a really big article with a lot of information. What I really like about this is that Alex has given us the actual manifests to go and deploy this. So you don't have to go and roll out the operator and then figure out how to instantiate an instance of Elasticsearch and then do whatever. Just grab his manifest that he uses in all of the examples. Let me scroll back up here. All of this stuff from Alex77G. And you can take a look at it, edit it to make it your own. But this will get you up and running with logging very quickly. Thank you, Kubernetes. Next up, we have an intro to using Open Policy Agent in DevOps. This is another tutorial for you. This one to get you up and running with OPA. OPA policies are written in Rego, and unfortunately, if you want to start using OPA, Rego's another thing that you're going to have to learn. But there is an online playground to help with that. OPA by itself doesn't do enforcement. This gives you a high-level overview of how OPA works, explaining policies, explaining how those are looked at, and then an answer is given. There's a link to the playground right here. I'll highlight that for you. And if you use just raw OPA, your application queries it and gets a response back, and then it has to do the enforcement. So it'll give you the policy reply, for example, result true, and then you have to do something with that. However, you can use Gatekeeper inside of Kubernetes, and it will act as an enforcer for you. This goes on to talk about using Gatekeeper and how to write Gatekeeper admission controllers using constraint templates. That sounds very meaty and chewy. It talks about auditing. It expands into conf test and how to use it with CI/CD. This is part of the whole movement going on in the ecosystem to shift left. I hate... Corporate mumble speak is almost like a meme unto itself. Right now, the meme is at scale. And I don't know how many of you saw my tweet from a week ago where I said, every time I see the word at scale, I just replace it with in your pants. And the stuff that people are writing becomes really, really funny. So if you just Google Kubernetes and put at scale in quotes, you'll get all of these articles and headlines and things, which, anyway, if you're bored and you're looking for a laugh, try that. Shift left is another one. The concept is good. But it's like somebody comes up with the idea, somebody else hears it, people start using it, and it just moves like a brush fire through the ecosystem until it burns out of fuel and then something else comes along behind it. Fires are, in some ways, for those of you whose entire state is on fire right now, I apologize. Fires burn through fuel, and then there's no more fuel left to burn. Memes burn through fuel, but then your brain is the fuel, so there's more fuel to burn. And we can watch these things happen. Some of them are interesting, some of them are not. For me, it's interesting to note the ones that stick around. Anyway, that's not my rant. I'm going off on a tangent. Shifting left, move security down the chain towards the developers, towards the CI/CD system, educate them so that they can actually build in security from the beginning instead of the operator side of things fighting fires. With this, with CompTest, you can test your Docker files, you can test Terraform, you can test all sorts of stuff in your CI/CD system before it ever gets out to the Kubernetes cluster. So the combination of CompTest plus Gatekeeper gives you solid OPA access. And if you want to get started with that, here is a tutorial for you. Next. There's no link on this. You guys can't actually see the links in my browser, which is cool for today because this is not available yet. But I got a sneak peek of it. A sneak listen? That just doesn't sound the same. Darren Shepherd is the chief architect and one of the co-founders of Rancher, the place where... Rancher. You probably know him from Twitter, or maybe you know him from KubeCon, or maybe you know him as the inventor of K3S. Hi, Danny. Welcome to the show. No matter how you know Darren, I guarantee you don't actually know him. He is an amazing human being. He has an amazing story, and Dan got him on POPCAST. I listened to this last night, and as much as I hate when people are like, don't miss it, like I go through a lot of stuff on Twitter, and people are like, don't miss my presentation about blah, blah, blah. I don't know who you are, and you don't actually have any authority in my world to tell me what I should or shouldn't miss. So as much as I hate that, I won't say don't miss it, but I will say that I am really happy that I listened to it. I know Darren, and I still learned things about him. The half hour, this is 35 minutes long, it just zoomed by. Darren is so interesting, so positive, so pure in his goals, and so absolutely hysterical in how he ended up building K3S, or that story actually carries back through how we ended up with Rancher, how we ended up with stuff. It's like a series of happy accidents, but I believe that Darren is unique in his ability to have these happy accidents over and over and over again, because he's one of those people who just sees the world differently and flat out refuses to compromise on making it better. He looks at things and he's like, well, whatever this thing is, there's probably a way I can make it work better for me. And in solving the problems that are in front of him and solving them for himself, he ends up creating these wonderful solutions that all the rest of us are able to benefit from. Subscribe to Dan's channel, and this show will drop on Wednesday, either as a YouTube video or also as a podcast for those of you who actually listen to things instead of watching them. That wasn't even on the screen. There, where's my camera? So if you listen instead of watching, you can get it as a podcast as well. Subscribe. This drops on Wednesday. Don't miss it. Dan also watches the show. Hi, Dan. Aqua Security. Aqua Security has released a report that shows an increase in organized attacks on cloud-native infrastructure and the software supply chain. How many of you didn't know that that was actually a thing? Oh, we all know that it's just bedlam out there. There's crypto mining, there's Team TNT, there's blah, 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 blah. Aqua's internal security org set up a bunch of honeypot systems, and they spent a year watching how people got onto them and then what people were doing with them. This is a good strategy for getting an understanding of the type of threats that are out there, because the majority of threats are automated. They compromise an unprotected Docker API port, and then they proceed to do the same amount of things. This is a 70-page report. Well, this isn't. This is a press release. But if you follow the links, you can get a 70-page report. Just cough up your email address. And it talks about the stuff that they saw. It's very interesting, the level of, well, the varying levels of sophistication that are present in these attacks, but also that a lot of the container images that they're using don't actually have malware baked into them. They either have it obfuscated so that it has a different binary signature and scanners don't know what it is, or they download payloads after startup. But the most interesting thing about this was the massive, absolutely massive rise in the number of attacks between 2019 and 2020. There's a lot you can infer from that, and even though they set these up with honeypots so that it was easy to attack, the idea is that once an attacker gains access to your environment, this is what they are going to do. The report doesn't talk about how to secure your environment. There are lots of other things out there that will tell you how to do that, but this is just a state of the union, as it were, for the container and cloud native infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. Supply chain attacks are bad. Supply chain attacks are where they're compromising things that are upstream, or they're making things look like they're legitimate so that people pull them down. Ultimately, everything that I saw in here can be solved by education, by, well, not leaving your Docker API port open, for example, but also the images that they're referring to, they look like legitimate Ubuntu images. So know what you're pulling, know who you're pulling it from, and don't trust your scanner. Your scanner will detect a lot of things, but it's just one part in what is becoming a much, 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 much larger solution and workflow for security in your environment. Honestly, I think we're going to get to the point where all of us are going to be like, you know what? Screw this. We're just going to turn all of our clusters off and go to the beach. What? Why is there a conversation about Khal Drogo in the chat? What is going on? Trick says, you gotta protect your port. You know what? No matter what, that's really good advice. Wifebot says when she hears Aqua, she hears the Barbie Girl song. Dude, okay, can I confess to you? I actually really like Aqua. Aqua the band? They're like, just what's not to like? The right combination of like electro and the cute giggly girl voice and their other dude who's like all brah and like angry. It's like if Rob Zombie met the Spice Girls, but the Spice Girls are actually kind of bitchy. If Rob Zombie met Hannah Montana before she became Miley Cyrus, I don't know. I really like Aqua. It's just one of those things where it's like you put that on and you're like, yay! And then you're like, wow, I'm not going to listen to that for another 10 years. And all their songs are earworms. Yeah, absolutely. They've got that stuff figured out. In fact, I think they're even from Sweden. There is a company that I'm pretty sure is Swedish. If not, they're Swedish, Norwegian. Those of you who are from the Baltics or from, I don't even know if it's the Baltics. Those of you who are from that area, I apologize. But there's a company over there who actually is responsible for creating some ridiculous amount, like 90% of the pop songs since the 1990s. They're just a factory for song production. So you can Google them, and well, there you go. We're totally off topic. Thank you, Wifebot, for introducing Khal Drogo. Netherlands? Aqua's from the Netherlands? Okay, I'm not going to talk about geography. I'm from the United States. You're lucky I know where Africa is. Not that we're talking about Africa. It's just trying to prove a point. Hello again, Kubernetes. Hello again, Kubernauts. That's your fault for writing Kubernetes on the screen. Hello again, Kubernauts. This is a meetup that's coming up on October 8th about running Kubernetes in Kubernetes. So on Friday, we talked about solutions that run mini clusters in namespaces, and this didn't even come up. But apparently they have figured out, and I've seen the repo notes on this, how you can run K3S inside of another Kubernetes cluster. In this case, it could be inside of K3S, but it could be inside of anything else. We already know from Ian and Brad's KubeCon talk that K3S can do some pretty twisted stuff. Like they used K3S to maintain persistent access to hosted Kubernetes clusters in GKE, EKS, and AKS, which Just go watch it if you haven't seen it. That was craziness. Well, these guys are going to show us how you can get K3s running inside of Kubernetes. This could be an excellent, fully featured, fully featured solution for isolated mini clusters inside of a larger Kubernetes environment. October 8th, check it out. Oh, okay. From the News of the Weird department. Back in the run-up to Y2K, COBOL programmers made bank. Some of you watching the show are probably like, what's COBOL? Yeah, well, welcome to the 1980s. COBOL still runs lots and lots and lots and lots of really important infrastructure. Mostly because businesses are just terrible at upgrading legacy infrastructure. Like, I knew a guy who had a business buying old hardware from Sun Microsystems prior to the Oracle acquisition and reselling it because somebody would be like, oh, our MRI machine runs on an Ultra 2 and it just blew something on the motherboard, and that's we don't have any other solution, so we need an Ultra 2 tomorrow. And he had a big warehouse of old Sun gear, and he made lots and lots of money until Oracle came in and shut him down because they're Oracle. Anyway, what do you think is going to come after Kubernetes? Like Kubernetes, that's the hot thing. Everybody's going to move into the hot thing. It's going to become saturated. We're all going to have to move into something else. If like once there's a larger supply than there is demand for a skill set in a marketplace, the price of the skill set drops. So if you want to continue making lots of money, you're going to have to learn how to do something else. What is that? Machine learning? Data science? The next big shiny thing has a problem because it has to be proven. So you could make an investment in data science or machine learning. That's kind of pretty much proven. But let's say, Arboligarb comes out and everybody's like, Arboligarb is the next greatest, most amazing thing. You could invest in it, and then it could be 3 months later, they're like, Arboligarb totally sucks, and nobody's using it. Go where people don't want to go. COBOL. If you take your Kubernetes skills and you go learn COBOL, COBOL is going to be around for a really long time. You will take home fat salaries for being an indispensable piece of the infrastructure. The question is just how much, you're not going to have a fun job for sure, but depending on how much you value money over fun, you might, be able to go to work, come home, and then live a life that's fun. This is a meetup on COBOL in Kubernetes, hosted by IBM, and I'm not going to go learn COBOL, but I will not fault anybody who does. $8.53? No. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tabs left to go. Okay, we're going to punt the rant to tomorrow, and instead we are going to talk about, we'll just continue doing what we've got. Using Nexus as a container registry. Do you guys use Nexus? Before, Trick says, I understand the need for COBOL coders, I just don't want to be one. I'm with you. But I'm telling you, I remember those dudes were making huge amounts of money. Just like it's a money printing machine. Anyway, before my country where I live, before Chile entered the age of unlimited mobile data plans, I had 5 4G plans, each of which had a data limit of 15 gigabytes. So it was 75 gigabytes a month that I was allowed to use. I would swap SIM cards in and out, and to keep my monthly cap under that threshold, I invested heavily in caching. So I had a Squid man-in-the-middle proxy that I ran for HTTPS. I did artifact caching, I did package caching, and I did aggressive outbound filtering with NTOP-NG, which is another fantastic product. If you don't know NTOP-NG, go look at that. That's just ridiculosity. Caching also helps me with things being really far away. So for example, it might take me 30 minutes to download a 250 megabyte container, not because I have good bandwidth. I was getting 15 megabits per second down from every single one of those plans. That's over 4G. It's just stuff is really far away. So caching helps. For caching of containers and artifacts, I use Sonatype Nexus. And it is able to cache a lot more than containers. It can do Helm repos, it can do apt, Go, Maven, NPM, PyPy, RubyGems, Yum, and It can even do CPAN. So those of you who are watching who still write code in Perl, keep the faith. I know that people make fun of Perl. It's because they don't understand. My very first programming language was actually Perl 4. So stay true. And if we've learned anything from COBOL, it's that there will always be a place for Perl. Well, actually, I guess for that to work, you'd need Perl to run on an ATM somewhere, but I'm sure it does. So back to Nexus. Starting in 3.25, they added a really cool thing called the OSS index, which scans for vulnerable components related to a software solution. And it scans it across all of the resource types. So it's not just scanning containers, but it'll scan artifacts coming in from NPM, from PyPy, from any of the artifact sources. I like it because it's able to pull through containers and cache them from basically anywhere. And it also acts as a direct upload registry if I need it, though in my house I don't usually use that unless I'm testing something and I need a place to pull from. The licensed version will even let you pull and push to the same endpoint name. It has raw support for OCI, so your machine learning models can use it, so you don't need to go and deploy Harbor alongside it. And for the pull-through repositories, it does image vulnerability scanning of the OSS components. It does this for all artifacts, and it does it for free. Oh, and it logged me out. Let's log myself back in. And basically, I have this set up with proxy caches, and you can see the health checks over here. Hey, look at that. So nothing that I have in my repo, in my registry, is currently vulnerable, which is great. So it does these scans automatically. It's a fantastic solution. I know there are other solutions out there. I don't even go look at other solutions. Nexus is my boy. I can't even talk about the next thing, which is going to be Ansible. I was going to talk smack about doing stuff with Kubernetes and Ansible, but ladies and gentlemen, there's only 3 minutes left in the show, which means we have 5 minutes to talk about Tool of the Day. Yesterday, I did not sing a Tool of the Day jingle. Today, I will... Tool of the Day. No. What time is it? What time is it? What time is it? It's time for Tool of the Day. No? Probably just lost like 10 subscribers. Tool of the Day is... It's not actually this. Tool of the Day today is for the developers who may or may not be watching. I'm an operator. I don't include a lot of stuff for developers. So this, my brethren, this is for you. If you're working with a Kubernetes cluster in Go, you are probably already familiar with Kubernetes Client Go. Well, today's Tool of the Day is this, which is actually called Camel to Go. Even though it's K, YAML, whatever. Camel to Go. This tool... My show notes rolled off the top of the screen. This tool will take a Kubernetes manifest on the left, and it will convert it into Go code for Kubernetes Client Go on the right. This little online portal is cool for just doing one-offs. It does all of your CRUD stuff, so you can change this to a delete or something like that. But if you want to run it yourself, you can just pull the source code down and run it directly on the command line and save yourself the trouble of having to copy and paste and use some kind of external resource. I don't write code in Go, but if you need to interact with a Kubernetes cluster to do stuff, whether that's for testing or whatever you might use this for, here's a tool for you. It's under 9 o'clock. Technically, the show is over. Trix, does this count? Does it mean I finished on time? Well, it's good, though, because the other stuff I had to talk about would have taken us to like 9:15. So let's wrap the show. If you liked what you saw today, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm here every weekday as long as there's something new to talk about, and there's always something new to talk about. I will have all of the links and the timestamps up in the video description, and if you follow me on Twitter, you will get a notification when that happens. I also will have it on the website and so on and so forth. If you have something you would like me to consider for the show today, hit me up and let me know. My contact details are in the video description, or you can tweet with the CNCN hashtag and I will pick it up. If I mentioned a tool that you use, please tell me in the comments. I love hearing about people's experiences with these things. Whether they're good, whether they're bad, whether you have additional information, that's great for everybody who watches. I will be here every weekday as long as there's something to talk about, and there is always so much to talk about. I never have enough time. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day. Keep learning, and I will see you in the next show. I was this close to doing an Aqua cover. This close. I'm not going to do it. Bye.